In a small town nestled among rolling hills, there was a man named Thomas who carried a heavy burden in his heart. Every Sunday, he would sit in the last pew of the local church, arms crossed tightly across his chest, his face a mask of stoic indifference. While the congregation around him sang hymns and offered prayers, Thomas remained silent, his eyes fixed on the worn wooden floor beneath his feet. The townspeople whispered about him, assuming his silence stemmed from pride or disdain. But the truth that gnawed at Thomas's soul was far more painful. Years ago, in a moment of reckless abandon, he had caused a terrible accident that claimed an innocent man's life. The weight of guilt and shame had crushed his spirit, convincing him that he was beyond redemption, that God could never forgive such a grievous sin. Week after week, Thomas attended the services, not out of devotion but out of a desperate hope that someday he might find the courage to seek forgiveness. Yet each time, he left feeling just as hollow and unworthy as before. One crisp autumn morning, as Thomas took his usual seat, he felt a gentle tap on his shoulder. Turning, he found himself face to face with Mrs. Anderson, a kind-faced elderly woman who had been a pillar of the community for decades. With a warm smile, she pressed a worn, leather-bound Bible into his hands. "This belonged to my late husband," she said softly. "He too once believed he was beyond God's grace. But he found solace and forgiveness in these pages. Perhaps you will too." Thomas's fingers trembled as he accepted the gift, a lump forming in his throat. For the first time in years, he felt a flicker of hope stirring in his heart. That night, Thomas opened the Bible, his eyes falling upon a passage that spoke of God's infinite mercy and love. As he read, tears began to flow, years of pent-up emotion finally breaking free. He realized that his self-imposed isolation had been a barrier not just between himself and others, but between himself and the possibility of redemption. Slowly, Thomas began to change. He started participating in the services, his voice hesitant at first, then growing stronger. He reached out to others in the congregation, sharing his story and finding understanding and support instead of the judgment he had feared. Thomas's journey taught him that forgiveness, both divine and human, was not something to be earned, but a gift freely given. By accepting that gift, he not only found peace for himself, but also became an inspiration to others struggling with their own burdens of guilt and shame. His story serves as a powerful reminder that it's never too late to seek forgiveness, to heal, and to find one's place in a community of faith and compassion. True redemption often begins with a single act of kindness, like the gentle offering of a worn Bible, and the courage to open one's heart to the possibility of grace.